Hello and welcome to today's Shorts Roundtable. I am Bridget and I'm one of the Filmmaker Conversations production coordinators here at SIFF. I will be hosting today's talk. We want to take a moment here to offer special thanks to PNC for sponsoring our Filmmaker Conversations content throughout the entirety of the festival. On today's roundtable, we'll be joined by filmmakers from some of the shorts included in our Shorts Program 12. With that in mind, allow me to welcome our guests to today's conversations. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And to start, I would like each of you to introduce yourself, the title of your film, your role on the film, and also let us know where you're joining us from today. Armina, we'll start with you.
Hello, my name is Amina, and I'm from Pakistan. My film Pardesan is I shot it back home, but it's about the trans rights in Pakistan, which is about the Khwaja Sira community. Pardesan aims to be an accurate representation of the discrimination faced by members of the Khwaja Sira community during their day-to-day lives. It is a documentation of an up-close and personal view of the daily routines of his subjects in an attempt to both humanize them and while simultaneously unmasking the lengths to which they have to go to survive due to lack of representation and opportunities to earn a living or to gain an education. And the film focuses on issues surrounding their acceptance into the community and includes accounts from government officials regarding the steps that have been taken towards improving transgender rights and their integration into society. And I am calling from Baltimore right now.
Hey, I'm Doug Rowland, the writer-director of Feeling Through, and I'm joining from Los Angeles.
And I'm Stephanie Erb. I am the writer, co-star, co-director of Gratitude Jar Time Capsule, and I am in Los Angeles.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we are excited that you are all able to join us today. The first thing we'd like to ask you is what led you to make this particular film and perhaps how you became involved in it? Amina, we'll start with you again.
I grew up in Islamabad, which is the capital city of Pakistan. And Pakistan itself has a culture of you see people begging on the streets, be it in the markets or at traffic signals. And I grew up amongst these people begging on the streets is members of the Khwaja Sira community. And when I came to college, to Sarah Lawrence College in New York, I took a documentary filmmaking class in my junior semester, which was last year. And during this time, I went up to my professor, Heather Winters, and I had two initial ideas of what directions I wanted to go towards. And I told her, and she encouraged me to go towards this topic because I feel like in a time where people all over the world are overcoming social taboos and giving voice to issues that people didn't want or couldn't talk about, it doesn't make sense to alienate an entire community. So I felt like this film was necessary to start a conversation or to make people realize that it's high time we work towards the integration of the Khwaja Sira community into society itself. Yeah.
Feeling Through was actually inspired by an encounter that I had 10 years ago in New York City with the first person who's deafblind that I ever met. The film is fictional, but it's some of the primary story beats of it are directly inspired by that encounter. So similarly to what you saw in the film, I was coming home late one night and saw a man standing on a street corner by himself holding a sign that said, "I'm deaf and blind and need help crossing the street." And like you see in the film, I tapped him. In real life, he pulled out just like in the movie, he pulled out a notepad and wrote a bus stop he needed. And I took him there and a bus wasn't coming for over an hour. And I wanted to let him know I'd sit and wait with him. And I did not know how to communicate with him. And again, similarly to you see in the film, I instinctively took his palm and started tracing one letter at a time on it to let him know I'd sit and wait. And we ended up having a whole hour plus conversation like that, of him writing to me in a notepad, me writing back on his palm. And it was just one of those moments, you know, those rare moments in life that as it's happening, you just know something, quite frankly, life-changing is happening. I think the process of writing, shooting, and exhibiting the film, it's taken me all of that to really understand the totality of what was being gained in that moment. But yeah, it was directly inspired by that encounter with this man, Artemio. Artie is the character in the film. That's a clear nod to Artemio, who is the man in real life. And yeah, as I say, this from a storyteller standpoint, I was gifted with this real life encounter that birthed Feeling Through.
Well, we'll go from the sublime to the ridiculous now. Basically, the Gratitude Jar time capsule came out of a feeling of necessity for women's roles, frankly. You know, an actress friend of mine, Deb Height, who's my partner in crime for this particular project, and I went out for pancakes, and we're just like, aren't you tired of reading for sad moms and victims? And because that is the lot in life for women in film and television. And we decided to take things into our own hands and create some comedy for female-centric concepts. And we wanted to mess with reality and time and science-y ideas as well. So that's where it came from, just the necessity. I always wanted to play a prairie woman. Are there auditions for prairie women for me? Not really. So we came up with a bunch of smaller ideas, and this was one of them, where we are jumping from time and what do women have in common from different time frames. And sometimes it's, you know, a happy thing they have in common, and sometimes it's not so happy thing, like abuse or lack of rights whatsoever, you know, something like that. So that's where it came from, and it ended up just being a silly little joyous short that we did at my house.
Well, thank you for sharing all those stories. That's wonderful, and I love the personal connection to them. To follow up on that, we're hoping that you might share with the audience one thing, some trials and tribulations you've learned while filming, or any fun behind the scenes story that you might like to share. Our audience is open to all kinds of stories, so let them have it.
Luckily, I managed to fly back home right before COVID hit. I shot Pardesan during my winter break, and I didn't have any equipment of my own, so I borrowed it from the filmmaking department at Sarah Lawrence. My father had a camera, an extra camera, and a camera stand, but I lugged all this luggage throughout the airport back home, and I remember dragging it at point, people offering to help because I could not, it was so heavy. And when I got back home, I also did not have a team to help me out. I produced, directed, shot it all on my own. I luckily did have my brothers, two of my brothers and my best friends help me out. So it was all of us, a team of amateurs who kind of went there. And Bijli herself is, she is a character. She is so full of life. She is so, you know, she really takes the reins and she takes control. And it's literally like she gave me her own shot list. I went to meet her for the first time. We had had conversations over WhatsApp and voice notes before, but when I met her the first time, it was like I had always known her. And she immediately told me, she said, you know what, this is the direction that you're going to shoot me from. This is my good side. This is where the light hits from. And you have to capture me cleaning, and you have to capture me cooking, and you have to capture me dancing, because, you know, and I feel like that made my life so much easier because I didn't know what I was doing. And, you know, the help that she gave me and the support that she gave me through it, it was unbelievable. And I'm grateful for it.
I love that story, Amina, because it's such a great example of also like how directors, sometimes your job is to also like listen to the other people on the team as collaborators and like take their good ideas too. I love that. That's so great. We, you know, for Feeling Through, I think the most resonant story to share is so I had feeling through Robert Tarango, who's our actor who's deafblind. We found out during the process of pre-production that he's the first deafblind actor to star in a film of any kind.
Wow.
I had the great privilege to partner with Helen Keller Services from the very start of this process 3 years ago, through this whole journey to make sure that this film was made alongside and with the community, the deafblind community, so that it could be the best version of itself and serve the highest purpose. And also, first and foremost, being a universal story that anyone can get engaged with, but also being an opportunity to spread awareness about a community that's been unrepresented in storytelling. But I think the really specific story that comes to mind is prior to submitting to film festivals or doing anything in the film industry, we knew it was important right when we finished the film and the supporting documentary we made that kind of covers the process of working with Robert and all the backstory of it, to create this fully accessible screening event that we would share with the community and local communities across the country, called the Feeling Through Experience, which was this 3-part event that included feeling through the supporting documentary and a panel discussion and Q&A with the local deafblind community. And we fortunately got to do 14 of those in person prior to the pandemic. We've done many more accessible virtual live streams since then. But at our very first screening in Cary, North Carolina, we had probably about 40 plus people from the local deafblind, blind, and low vision community, along with a full house of the general public, 50 interpreters and support staff to provide one-to-one accessibility. And this was what all of our screenings ended up looking like. But what was so great about this very first one is that when we got to the Q&A portion, and I just want to note that for all of the film buffs or just people who love film that are watching this, imagine what it's like looking out into a full house of like 150 people, where some people are having the entire experience tactilely signed to them, which is just ASL signed into the hand, which is how some people in the deafblind community communicate. Having some people listen to the audio described version because they're blind or low vision. Have some people relying on a visual interpreter or the big open captions we had on the screen. It'll really, I don't care if you've seen 10,000 movies, it's a paradigm shift for you. There's before that and after of your understanding of what it means to experience a film. But the very first person that stood up at our Q&A was a gentleman who's deafblind, who had the entire experience tactilely signed to him, both films and the panel discussion. And he said, I'm so happy. I really love this film and the message, and also was so happy about the representation for our community. But moreover, people assume because I'm deafblind, I wouldn't care to go to the theater. I wouldn't care to have this live experience. But I love this. I love coming to the theater and having this shared experience. I just never have the opportunity to do so because there's never the accessibility for me to do so. And I think that was such a great bolding, underlining, all caps kind of reflection of the importance of why we were doing it in the way we were doing, and how accessibility has been a large part of the larger message of this film, because there's so many people that want to have access and experience things that just never have the opportunity to do so. And that was just such an amazing first comment to have from someone, and an amazing memory that certainly changed the way that I think about exhibiting films.
That's really amazing, Doug. I have to say, one of my favorite stage performances ever was for a blind, mentally handicapped audience. It was stunning to me. The energy in the audience was unbelievable. But that has nothing to do with my film. So basically, I think I will just echo what they're saying, especially Amina, what she said, is that it's a grassroots effort. You get friends and family discounts. You have friends helping you make lasagna. My partner, Deb Height, and I just had to take what money we had to try to put this budget together. Because essentially we shot 3 things in one day, 3 shorts in one day, which is sort of our concept for a sketch show, if it were, as it were. And so we had no makeup and hair person, which we realized in retrospect is a mistake. We probably should have found money in the budget for that. One of the shorts I played Ghost, And I was like, I'll just put on some light foundation and I'll look like a ghost. Well, it doesn't work that way. So I ended up digging through my kitchen for flour and water and put that all over my face. And it really worked. But if it weren't for our amazing editor, Michael Janoska, who did the ghost effect in the second short, it would not have worked out well at all. And I think what we learned is if you want to do something, do it. And we ended up shooting it the day before the week where everything shut down. So it's ostensibly could have happened that nothing would have been shot and we wouldn't have this to show for it. And frankly, the intense boredom of being stuck in your house in a pandemic was really helped by having these little projects to work on while we're sitting at home and talking to our editor and figuring out what festivals we'd like to enter them into. So basically, I've been acting for a living for 27 years, and I do speak to youngsters a lot about what to do. And I think the great advantage of right now is that you can take your phone and you can shoot something. And that's sort of what I carry with me after having done this, sort of grassroots shoot.
Well, thank you for those beautiful stories. They really were beautiful. I love all of the inspiration behind it as well, about the community and everything else involving to make your films. It's amazing that we have three very different stories that all kind of share that core value to it. So I want to thank you so much for sharing, and we appreciate it. And on behalf of SIFF, I just want to thank you all so much for joining us today. I know we came from different locations and everything, so we're very excited that you took the time out of your day to join us. And in addition, we would like to thank you, our audience, for joining us for today's Shorts Roundtable. We wouldn't be here without your ongoing support, and we are so excited to be there with you as you bring film home. We hope you'll consider supporting our challenge match again this year, presented by Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, to support the future of our festival. Our goal is to reach $145,000 again this year, and any contribution helps out gratefully. To make a donation or to purchase tickets or to check out our full schedule of filmmaker conversations, please visit clevelandfilm.org. With that, please stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here again very soon. Thank you again for joining us. Bye, guys.